Hello, good evening, lads, and welcome to the Not Jack channel. I am Spider LFC, and I'm joined tonight by Ricky from the 1892 Reds and Connor from the Cop Council. How are you, lads? How are you keeping? We're going to have a bit of gossip tonight. Well, no, we're going to create gossip, and then we're going to wind everybody up.
Gossip.
Just to see, we're going to see where everybody's opinions on Andy Robbo and how we believe. What we believe that Klopp is going to do with him in the future, or how he's going to fit into the different types of formations that Liverpool are possibly going to try out with the signings that we brought in. But anyway, lads, how are you keeping?
Good.
Good.
Don't know how Ricky is. Ricky just looks contempt. Is that the correct word?
Do you know what it is? I've been on Twitter a bit today, and I just can't be arsed with it no more. I mean, it's what it is, isn't it?
What's wrong with Twitter, Ricky? What's going on?
Nah, it's just transfer news, isn't it? Liverpool ain't signing no one. Looks like their main target of DM is starting for Palace tonight. So
that's if we were signing him tomorrow. If we were signing him, let's say we were leaving that as the last signing and dealing with Gravenberch at the moment, and we said we'd come back in for you next week. There's still next week's game to be missing. You can see. We just keep the optimism as much as we can anyway. Anyway, Anfield TV. Connor can have more enjoyment, lads. Cheer up. Was that Jack? All right, Jack. Lads, as we said, welcome to the Not Jack channel.
Somewhere. Just because he's on the beach somewhere in Greece, living it up.
Yeah.
Jack is over there consoling Tom now, head on the shoulder and tissues in the eyes.
Basically, chat. This is the trial and error period. If we do okay, this is the new format for everyone. But yeah, Jack won't have it for that long anyway. Jack, like I said to you, the channel will not be a thing when you come back home.
Jack, you're done, mate. When you come back, I'm gonna get your channel cancelled.
He cancelled his own internet while he was talking. You're gone there for a sec, Rick. Anyway, lads, we're going to say hello to everybody inside in the chat. How are we? Big up, Jack. Jack's not here, Henry. But thanks anyway for thinking about us. We're great. Keep it level. What's happening, Jack? Still not here. All right. Big up, chat. Wiggs, how are you keeping, buddy? I think you're watching on there. All right. Keep it level. Haha. Like the stream, Reds. Lads, don't get me cancelled. Would I ever? Yeah. Just don't bring up like touchy subjects, and I won't get involved in it. Of the binary persuasion. Anyway, there's this fan base can be so mind-boggling at times. We all wanted a backup for Fab this summer. Fab leaves, we get a backup in Indo, and all of a sudden we don't need another DM. We need it more than a CM. I disagree with what Piercy was saying there today at Twitter. I think that Liverpool are still looking for a DM if one pops up. I think that they're just keeping it close to their chest, and I'd expect a late bid for one, because at the moment people know that we can spend money and we don't want to overspend on a player. So I think Liverpool are playing the last ditch second card, in that regards, and I don't. It's smart of them to do so, because otherwise, you're going to go out and you're going to pay 25 million more for Decore. If you don't look like you're desperate to get him straight away by just going after him. I think the Gravenberch thing was already on the cards. I mean, I think there's a clause in his thing or something. If he doesn't start enough games, there's like 25 million he can go for. I think Liverpool could hand over 30 million easy for Gravenberch and get him, and then deal with the Decore thing for the next week and a bit. So, yeah, it's not too much to panic about, but I mean, Endo did make a good show of himself, albeit against Bournemouth the other day. I don't know, Les, how do you see it? We start with Connor.
I think we all said it, didn't we, after the Endo signing? If this was it, I think everyone was going to be disappointed, and I think rightfully so. I think, as Wiggs has said there, I think if we were all saying that, again, Fabinho needs help, if Stefan Bajcetic needs help, and we need a cover DM for those two, again, Endo has become that James Milner role that we fully expect. But now we're content with just him. Again, I know that James Pearce's article earlier on was very much like, in terms of a specialist six, Liverpool, in his opinion, wasn't going to be going for that. Which, again, like you mentioned, Kev, would lean more towards Wright and Gravenberch. I have a weird feeling that Liverpool's plan for the midfield is to potentially bring in Gravenberch and then get Andre in the winter.
Okay.
But I think that's more, again, you're playing with fire if you do that again, because again, Gravenberch needs time to get involved into the team. He needs time, especially if he's going to be playing at 6 as well. Could take him a couple of weeks, a couple of months potentially of him knowing that role. Because again, I think all of us would say he's very much a box-to-box player than he is a 6. So I think if that is the plan, I think it's a very dangerous plan from Liverpool's side. But I think all of us would agree Liverpool need a specialist number 6. We already have that player there in Stefan Bajcetic that can play as an 8, can play as a 6. I don't think we need Gravenberch in that sense of things if that's what Jurgen wants. But I think if you shove somebody like a Decore in that 6 role, it helps out massively. Obviously, we're going to talk about Andy Robertson a bit later on. It helps him out. It helps the back 2 along with Konate and Virgil. It's what Liverpool need, and we suffered last season from it. And for me, we need to just do the simple thing: go and get a number 1 DM that's going to start for us week in, week out.
Yeah, Ricky, would you add any more to that?
Yeah, I just think we need to take the power away from Jurgen Klopp a little bit, because it all seems to be him making the decisions in terms of a number 6. So. But the reports coming out today that Endo's the main number 6 to say this season. Him and Bajcetic will be swapping and rotating. Don't sit nice for me, because getting a proper top number 6 is the difference between challenging City and getting in that top 4 to fighting for top 4 and missing out. Because I'm gonna be real now. We missed top 4 this season. For me, Klopp needs to go. I've backed Klopp. I've been Klopp's biggest fan, but with the power he has now and the decisions not to bring players in, we missed top 4 this season. I'm FSG out, but he has to take some responsibility. And for me, he goes next season if we miss top 4.
I don't know about the power that Klopp has, because if you wanted to buy the players he wanted to buy, he would have had them already, regardless of the money. So I think he's been, if anything, yeah.
You can't show that you've got 110 million to spend. Persuade FSG to go get Endo from Stuttgart and not bring no one else in. That's down on Klopp for me.
Yeah. Unless he's got a target that he really wants, and he has to wait the 6 months for. We did the same thing with Virgil van Dijk. We risked it then. So, I mean, Klopp is where the rest of the fans wanted immediately to be going for the league straight away back again. And we have to admit that we're in some sort of rebuild at the moment. So, for me, if we're going to be classed as a rebuild and we're going for top 4, yeah, we should be getting top 4. We should have got top 4 last season. But
rebuild's not 2 players.
Yeah, no, I get it. But we're not really counting the 2 players. If you're going by, it's more than that.
It's 3 now.
I'm not counting Endo yet.
It's more than that, because I mean Diaz has come in, Gakpo has come in, and that's all new ilk from compared to the old guys that left. It's just that they were replacing people before they even left. So for me, Klopp is between a rock and a hard place. I don't want Klopp to be going into a situation where he's stuck as a yes man. And if he's stuck as a yes man and he repeatedly gets stuck as a yes man going forward, then he'll find himself in big trouble. But if he has targets, yeah, he is. But he's respectful of his position. So there's a difference between a yes man, which was Brendan Rodgers, who would do whatever the hell he was told, and Klopp, who will, if crossed, he will come out and say something. You can guarantee it. He's done it in past clubs, but he is very respectful of the ownership, and he always keeps a good rapport with the ownership. But if it comes to a point where he's turned around multiple times in the last few things saying we need this to happen. It's just that if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I'm thinking he's just given a chance to the owners to back him still, even though he got Endo. Now, I must say that Endo was very, very good when he came on the other day. He was stepping in front of players. The interceptions were fantastic. His clearances out of the box were brilliant. I think he only lost position once and then got it back again. So with that regard, he's done a fine job, but we can't be relying on that. No, if he wants, it all depends on the formations Klopp wants to do. Like if he's, we'll get into Andy Robbo now in a minute, but I suppose we'll come straight into the topic of Andy Robbo because that's the only way it's going to kind of bring it all in together. So, Andy Robbo, if Klopp is going for this 3-man backline, what kind of future does it hold for him, Connor?
For me, it doesn't. And that's probably mad to say, considering the fact that Andy Robertson's been one of Liverpool's main players for the last, 5-6 years. But I think the weekend was a prime example of when you can play Robbo in a back three. When, again, you need a bit of creativity on that left-hand side, but not so much that it's going to handicap you in some way like it did against Chelsea, where it constantly got targeted. It constantly, I think everyone come out of that game saying that Robbo was, Robbo was poor. I have enjoyment. I would have enjoyment if we don't sign another bloody midfielder. To be fair, get off YouTube. Bloody enjoy your holiday.
Go see some sunshine, Jack.
I know.
Put that factor 50 on.
He just said that. Yeah, he rang me before the show, and he just kind of goes, "I'm banging on the factor 50, and I'm off to the pub." And I was just like,
"Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? My man's panicking, boy. He's making sure no one says anything wrong on his channel. Jack, you're getting cancelled, lad. You're done by the end of this week."
Go and touch some bloody sand. But no, it's for me, Liverpool. And it's similar towards the DM conversation as well. Like, it's the fact we haven't addressed that left-sided area as well. Because everyone goes, "Oh yeah, you can play, Costas there. You could go back to the 4-3-3." Now, I'm surprised we haven't tried the 4-3-3 at all during pre-season or the first 2 games of the season. But if we're going to continue with this 3-back or the box formation, I don't see Andy Robertson staying as long-term on the left side. But again, the problem is the way that Liverpool want to look at it as well is they want somebody that's under 24 and left-footed. Now, that's a very rare market in itself to look at. And already you've got Inacio signing a new deal, and you've got other people that's going to cost 50, 60, 70 million pounds, and Liverpool willing to do that. Again, judging from midfield, we're not in some sense after Caicedo. But again, I think that's a whole debate in itself.
Okay. All right, Ricky, what's your take on Andy Robbo?
He don't suit this new formation because he don't know how to stay put. He's got ants in his pants and just wants to run up the touchline and put a cross in. But I don't think this formation lasts. I reckon as soon as we get a proper number 6, we go back to a 4-3-3. We go back to Klopp's trusted formation because this formation is there because there is no 6. So, but I feel sorry for Robertson. I think he's been one of the better players in the Klopp era. He's now being asked to do something he's not very good at, which is defend. He's a forward-thinking fullback, an attacking fullback. That's why Trent was so good the other side to him. We need to get Trent out the 6 in midfield because it don't work. The geezer's about as slow as me after a couple of pints trying to turn around once he receives the ball with his back to goal. So we need to go back to the 4-3-3 to benefit Robertson. And I think we do it. I think because I don't want to be the one to say it this week, but I'm going to because a few people agree with me. Once we get absolutely annihilated by Newcastle at the weekend, this new formation will go. Am I wrong, Connor? Spider?
I'm just staring at you because you said we're going to get annihilated by Newcastle.
Does this formation go once we get a battering of someone?
No, I think it gets tweaked. I look, for me, I want the biggest complaint that I had about Klopp, especially when we lost to Real Madrid and we got done by Atletico Madrid in the season before that, when it came down to it, was the lack of the ability to change shape. within the squad. So I want to see us having the squad available to do a 3-box-3. I want to see us having the squad available to do a 4-2-3-1. And I'm talking about at least a widened 4-2-3-1 that can come to inverted. And that's the ability. Szoboszlai's got that ability, and so has McAllister, so has Bajcetic, by the way, and Jones on that side. If anything, we're a bit light on the right hand side, which I know Elliott can come in and play, but yeah, we'll see. But look, between these formations, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 3-box-3, if we're able to do these kind of positions within the squad, then yeah, I'll be happy. But with regards Robbo, I thought he was very unfortunate for the way he was let down by the team that was picked on at the game against Chelsea. Because I thought he was brilliant against Bournemouth, but I thought the game against Chelsea he was let down a fair amount, mainly because he was double teamed the entire time and because we didn't have a number 6. But that was down to what was lacking, and we could only choose the best that was available within the squad. And for me, like, Cody Gakpo has been brilliant since he came into the club. Luis Diaz has been brilliant since he came into the club. Jota always tends to pop up with a goal, even if he disappears for most of the game. Salah is Salah, and Trent plays well in that inverted role. And actually, there wasn't much danger against Chelsea at all from that right hand side. On Trent's side, he barely had too much to do. The problem was Robertson was double teamed by Reece James and Raheem Sterling, and Gakpo didn't get back enough to help him. And it's only when we made the changes that Liverpool, because we were brilliant for that first half an hour, then they took over either side of half time, and then we took over again for the end of the game where we could have won it. But the fair result was there because we didn't have a number 6, and both teams were crying out for a number 6. They got the number 6, and we've seen where that led them. Straight to a penalty and a 3-1 defeat away to West Ham. I was at home to West Ham. Away to West Ham. And yeah, it just goes to show you that the importance of having that number 6 in the DM role. But we have Endo. He came on, did very, very well, allowed Robbo to go a bit forward in the Bournemouth game. But if we had him the previous week before that, I don't think Reece James and Sterling did as much joy as what they did. But
that's what I'm
outside
saying.
That, yeah.
If you've got a defensive-minded defensive midfielder in there who don't want to go forward, don't want to play with the ball, then it allows Robertson to do what Robertson can do, because then it allows that DM to sit there and cover that sort of in between the midfield and the left-back role. But where you play McAllister there, he's not a defensive-minded player. So he's not just going to sit there and cover. He hasn't got the pace to cover DM role and the left-back role. So
yeah.
The main ones for me is someone with, someone that can cover distance. Like we like as Rookie said, like we need someone that can sit there and can 1 minute be on the left side, and if Trent needs cover, can be quickly on the right hand side, like Fabinho was. But again, when you look at that market, it's very rare. And if Liverpool are looking at a core rate and thinking, I think me and you spoke about this, Rick, if they're thinking about it and going, well, to us, he's not worth £80 million. I'm sorry, the market is saying he's worth £80 million. This is how the transfer window is going. We can't be going, oh, he's not worth 80 million to us, because, again, we normally look at around 60, 70 million. Again, like I think as Rick said earlier on, we're willing to pay 110 million for Caicedo. And if Liverpool think that a certain player is worth getting, then go and get him. Like, there shouldn't be no excuses for it. If we're here at the end of the transfer window and going, well, we couldn't get this player for this reason, we couldn't do this for that, it's utter nonsense. Like, we've got the money, go and back Klopp, go and back the squad, because, again, we know what we can do. We know we can go and challenge if we have the right players. And I don't think anyone is saying that Liverpool can go on and get 95, 96 points this season. Again, it is kind of a slow rebuild, which next season hopefully we'll see the benefits of it. But at the minute, this side is good enough to finish comfortably third, minimum, and it just needs help with a DM. I know Ricky's looking at me like that because he's with a DM. Yes, I think Liverpool could finish comfortably third, but without it, You've seen how we conceded chances against Bournemouth. It was a good game, a solid, a total performance. It was good than bad, but it's more concerning if we don't get a 6, and then if we get an injury to, let's say, for example, he brought Gravenberch in. If we got an injury to Gravenberch, we got an injury to against Bajcetic, sorry. Again, if injuries mount up, we're going to be lacking again, and McAllister's going to be playing 6, or Liverpool are going to have to adapt to something else. And that takes time, and we all knew what the adaptation period last season took. It took us out the top 4. We never got back.
Yeah. We says it there as well. I just don't get the need for a CM right now. I'd rather see a DM and a left centre back come in before another CM. I don't know whether Klopp. I don't know whether Klopp has an idea for how Gravenberch play. I think Klopp has seen him play against us a couple of seasons ago, and saw how well he did in that role when he was playing that kind of 6 role rather than being a C. I know Bayern Munich bought him, and he could play that kind of number 8 role in those kind of leagues, but he is a strong player on the ball. He's got good turn of pace while he's in possession of the ball. So maybe he sees him as a developing central defensive midfielder, and maybe he was getting Lavia because he was already at that point a little bit ahead of him defensively. But in saying that, Gravenberch is he's a lot bigger, stronger lad. So hopefully he sees him in that role and develops him in it. And, like we have to turn around and give props to as much as, there's been talk from Ricky's side that where, if Klopp doesn't do something at the end of the season, he go. But at the end of the day, Klopp also is brilliant at turning average players into world-class players. And Gravenberch is already a few steps above that. He's a very good player. So if he can turn very good into world-class in a certain role, then, we have to trust Klopp to do so. And if he can get him in this season, and to say that we got Endo and Gravenberch in for what would have been maybe a third of the price of Caicedo at that way, you're kind of laughing in that way. And then maybe, as you say, Andre might come in the January window when we get him cheaper, or there might be, a surprise of another centre-back coming in before the window ends with only a third of the money spent that was made available for Caicedo. So we see, we just have to be positive about it. With regards to Andy Robbo, I think there's always a place in the team for Robbo as long as he's fit and can kick a football, because I don't think, out of most of the players, I think he's probably the most passionate that you see on the pitch playing in the shirt. He gets the most angry, he gets the most aggressive into players. Whatever about him being isolated a bit last week, that was down to the number 6. But Ricky, I think you're right. I think if we get in that number 6, I think Klopp will favour the 4-3-3 more than the other. He just wants the ability to be able to change these formations if we're stuck, and that's what we didn't have before. And I think if you add that into our game, I think you've got the bones of a really good team that can easily finish, as you say, Connor, 3rd, 2nd. I think with the trouble that Arsenal and Newcastle and all that are going to have this season, once that Champions League kicks in, they're going to try and get as much points as possible before that kicks in, and then they're going to be in trouble after that, I think.
Do you know what I also think, though? I think it's now a thing between FSG and Klopp. I think FSG have thrown Klopp under the bus a little bit by saying, here's 110 mil for Caicedo. We've got cash. But it's my man that don't want to spend it. So now, like, you've got some of the fan base, FSG out. I'm one of them. But you got to give them a little bit of grace, because they were willing to back Caicedo, and here's 110 mil, Klopp. What do you want to do with it? And he don't look like he wants to do anything with it.
The other thing I will say, though, as well, we're all hoping at the minute that Gravenberch will be available. There's nothing yet suggesting that he is going to be available. Like, the only thing yet is he hasn't played any minutes in the first 2 games of the season for Bayern Munich. And I think, was it Florian Plinterberg today said that Bayern view him as the 4th midfielder at the minute. And then for Liverpool, what would he be for Liverpool? Would he be the first choice midfielder? No, because he's number 1 and number 2 is Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai. In the 6, you may go with Bajcetic. So that, again, he's either 3rd option, or again, he's 4th, 5th, 6th.
I think he's the Andy Robertson version. So, do you know the way we had Moreno coming in, we needed a left back, but we went with a freebie from a guy that got relegated with Hull. We didn't know how that was going to turn out. I think it's the same kind of pull for Gravenberch. I think he can come in, show what he's worth, and then lock down that position on his own. But he'll be given time over the period, and I think that's what Klopp does best. I think he makes people work for the position. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But lads, yeah, get your questions in there, and myself and the lads will try and answer it as best as we can. Jack is off with the fact of 50, sunning himself in sunny Greece. Tom is rubbing it right into his back and between his legs as we speak. So it's just he has Tom, he has to look after himself in some way or shape or form, man, because the poor lad is, Everton are dying of dead at the moment, losing 4-0 here, there, and everywhere, and losing at home, losing away. They can't even buy a point at this stage. So yeah, I don't know. And even Demarai Gray, as young as he is, wants to go off to Saudi, which is more appealing, not even just for the money. I think he just wants to go over there for about a $5 a week.
Man is taking a pay cut to go to Saudi to get away from Everton.
He's taking a pay cut to go to Saudi to get away from Everton, yeah. So that's the way they're kind of stuck at the moment. Anyway, Wig says, lovely Jack, I'm off to Corfu in a few weeks. Enjoy, mate. The mythos in those frozen pint glasses is another level. Lovely knock. All right. Vase of Flowers. Hello, welcome. We definitely need a left centre back first if we are going to persist with the inverted full back thing. Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Do you not think Gomez can play there?
I think he can play the right back role. I don't know if he can play left back.
Joe Gomez, come on against Bournemouth.
I think he's very good right back. I can't fault him. So I don't know. I really do think that Klopp is trying to give Trent a chance in that DM role, and I think I'd like to see Gomez and Trent on at the same time in the team. If you're going to do that way, I'd like to see him on at the same time so that Trent knows that he doesn't have to worry about that position. And once that's taken over his mindset, he's just doing a covering midfielder. And I've said it, even since the last 2 seasons, I've been pushing for Trent to come in to the role and do it. It wasn't based on, we're going to leave absolutely nobody in right back. There has to be a right back behind him. There has to be somebody to go in there. I thought Fabinho might end up going in there, just to kind of, because he was feeling, kind of feel that this season we brought in another central defensive midfielder. Fabinho drops back to right back and gets put there again. But yeah, that ended up differently anyway. But yeah, so we'll be a test of the weekend. Then the CM. There you go. It's one for you, Connor. That's it, Connor. So many fans are now saying that we have Endo. We don't need a 6. It's daft fans think this way. We're expecting Endo to play every game, and by Chet to stay fit to cover. Hi, bye, Connor. See you later, buddy. Thanks. Connor just he's
Connor's fell over because he's seen who was signing next.
He's got an elevator.
To be fair, I seen it leave my camera. I seen the camera lean in and thought it's not going to fall now, and it just went boom. So apologies.
No, it's that you pressed the eject button. He didn't want to get anywhere near that question. Right. Do you want to blindly obviously we need a centre back? It's all the same throughout. Need the intensity football back. Yeah, this one I want to answer by Mark. What do you think Klopp needs to do to bring back that intensity? I have a knock on my door. You take over.
Who's the question to?
Both of you.
Both of us? Hey, Ricky, let's ignore the question and say something.
Let's just talk about what's going on. Need the intensity football back? I think we do. I think we've tried to play a possession-based game, and Klopp's not tactically good enough to play a possession-based game. We need to go back to the Gengen press, high intensity, winning the ball back quick, and sort of blasting teams away a little bit. We need to get rid of let's play tiki-taka in midfield. We're not Pep, we're not City. Klopp's not that good as a tactical manager. But you need the right personnel to play the high line and the intensity football. I think Szoboszlai is a great addition to play that. Diaz is great at it. Jota's good at it. Salah's good at it. The whole front line's good at it. McAllister, in a way, is good at it. He was good at it at Brighton with Caicedo. And we need to go back to that, like putting the fear in teams trying to play football at the back, like catching them out. But someone's in Klopp's ear, the person who's got his own book out, Pep Linders. You're not the manager, mate. You're a number 2 for a reason. You got sacked when you went to Holland to be a manager. Leave Klopp alone. let him play his football that he wants to play, and stop thinking you're Pep Guardiola because you're not Pep Linders. You're a number 2.
I slightly disagree about the possession-based stuff because Klopp even said it himself. His whole gameplay is to press high, win the ball back, and then have a possession-based game. He was saying it there in that big interview pre-season as well. So that's the kind of game he wants to play. The problem is he hasn't got the players to do it.
But he can't play it.
Yeah,
he's never been able to tactically play that type of football. So I don't get where.
And I disagree because for about 5 years straight, we were controlling games unbelievably well. Like nobody was getting. We would win back possession straight away. We would hold it, pass it across, pass it back, pass it across, pass it back, and then break people down. But that's
that was the high
in the last couple of
intensity
years.
and the pressure like that. It weren't let's play out the back. Let's pass it around 50, 60 times to build our way up to the top of the pitch because he can't do that.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, as well, it's like when Liverpool played our best football, you know, we didn't win a league title from it. I think we played better football the year before we actually won the league. And that's what we need to aim to go back to doing it. And when you look at that season in particular, again, the high line was not a thing. And I think the high line works. It does work, but it also doesn't work at the same time. Where I think Jurgen will get caught from it a few times this season, where instead of going back maybe 10 yards and exalt, and because I think our side, we're very good at counter attack as well. We don't really see it from Liverpool. Instead of taking that extra 10 yards backwards and then exploding forward, we just keep on going with the high line. I think that's something where tactically, again, as Ricky said, we haven't really changed from the last 2 seasons potentially. But in that year in particular, we managed to take that extra 10 yards back and then hit them heavy metal football, and that's what I think we need to get back to doing as well, because we don't see that as much. Everton at home was the last counter attack goal.
Yeah, I think you're right about the high line. I think everybody complimented Liverpool's high line in the year we won the league, or just around that period of time, where we said, we've caught so many teams offside, we've caught this, we've caught that, and we were very, very good at it. And I think we trumped people by 10 times to 1 in how many offsides that we had in that season, if I remember rightly. And it was just perfectly worked, but that's when we had the players to do it. We haven't had the players to do it in the last few seasons. We've been putting sticky or sellotape or sticky tape or whatever you want to call it, or putty over anything just to hold things together, and it's just not worked.
But our high line these days is Konate and Van Dijk. Robertson's at the corner flag where he's bombed forward. Trent's in midfield. You see in pre-season, one ball over the top. All you see is Konate and Van Dijk trying to run back. There is no one else.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with Hayes about getting the balance on the team. I think, look, Endo's a great addition, lads. Let's not disrespect him. He's, people, even Pep Guardiola came out and spoke about him, saying, if it wasn't for their policy of players, they would have gone in for him in the last season or so. But Rodri was available at a younger age, so it was pretty much him or Rodri. So you have to give props. I mean, if these managers are all coming out and saying that he's the best of what he does, and they were saying he was the best DM in the Bundesliga last season.
I've got nothing against him. I think he'd be a great addition to the squad, but he shouldn't be the main starter as a 6.
No, it begs to be. Well, we'll see. We don't want it to be. Is the scenario? He's well capable of doing it, but then you have the age factor. 30. Can you do it game after game after game for 30 games a season? No. Do we expect Bajcetic to come in and do it? I don't think so. He's more of an anchor player. He's like the Thiago replacement, really. So I don't know. Anyway, so Wiggs agrees with Ricky. Bang on, Ricky. Having a solid DM is a difference to winning trophies. No good team wins things without a solid 6. Win things without kids. Oh, with kids, is it? What was that saying? What was that one?
That was
1982. 1980. No, it was 1982 with Alan Hansen about the United team. He says you can't win things with kids, and that always stuck out in his face. Squad rotation will be the killer. Oh, this lad. Decora. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Do you think he's coming on?
Palace, isn't he? He's starting for Palace, so he ain't coming to Liverpool, are they? If Liverpool was serious about getting Decora in, he would not be starting tonight for Palace against Arsenal. With how long it is left to the window shuts, he would not be in that squad. But when you got big Joel Samak, Ibiza partying it up, working with his laptop, Times are hard, isn't it?
So next week, so Connor.
I hope it is. Like, it's like Ricky said. Like, if he were that advanced with it, he wouldn't be playing tonight. But again, like the longer we leave it, the worse we're gonna leave for ourselves. We already spoke about money situation. Like, even now, it's like what 70, 80 million. If you leave it another week, it's gonna be 100 mil. Now, by the way the window's going, so
I slightly disagree with about him playing tonight and not being able to sign, because I think at such an early point in the season that Liverpool would like to have him have as many minutes as possible. That maybe they've turned around and said, well, let him play. We can deal with this next week. Let him play. Let him get the legs in. If he gets injured, they still don't have to sign him.
So
but
if he breaks his leg and he was our number one target, there is no one else to go. There is no plan B.
No, there's a few DMs out there.
There's not left. Not
Ricky,
with 2 weeks before the window.
Have you not heard of the generational talent that is Jay Spearing? That is,
mate, it won't shock me if we rock him up in the Europa League against Karabag away from home.
what a story that would be.
Oh, mate, I'm sure he's my age, or he might be a bit older.
Yeah, I know.
He's 36. Yeah, he's older than me. He's older than me.
Yeah, he would be. Yeah, he'd be around that. I don't know. There's a few options out there, but I mean, if we're waiting for Andre until the window, he's not at number 6. He's a bit of a battler, and I think Klopp wants kind of battlers in the midfield if he is going for that box formation, rather than have. This is the way I can see it. If he's going 3-box-3, he's not looking for a number 6. He's looking for 2 guys that can possibly play box to box, sitting deep, and then he's having Szoboszlai and McAllister a bit further up that can stagnate back and help out. If he's going to play 4-3-3, he's looking for a number 6. So he can bounce off of that, but I think he wants to be able to. It's now become the most important role in the team. We've known that we've needed it for a while, and we knew that we needed backup for Fabinho when he was here. But the minute he left, it became the most important thing on any Liverpool fan's lips. Any keyboard was being typed CDM, anywhere. So that's all anybody wants for the team, and we know we're going to need it. It's great that we got Endo in, and I agree. I wanna push on and get another one, whether it's the Corey now or whether we pop it up a Gravenberch on the cheap and then bring in an Andre and try these formations. I don't care as long as the numbers are filled. I would still like for us. If you said to me, would they go for a Decore and nobody else, then I'd be still worried about the back line a bit. But if you said to me you're going for a Gravenberch and a left-sided defensive midfielder,
Phillips.
Yeah, no, Jesus, no.
Christ.
No, but he's in talks with Bayern Munich at the moment, which is why I'm thinking that the Gravenberch thing is happening. So Phillips has been linked with Bayern Munich for the last 2 or 3 hours, big time, and in talks. So if he goes to Bayern Munich, then Gravenberch will be coming our way. That's the way I think of it. Either our way or he'll go to United, all depending on what's happening. But he's spoken out publicly about Liverpool, so we were looking at him at the time, and he didn't forget about that. He just chose Bayern at the time, and he would love to come to us if we came back in for him. So Bayern aren't ruling out anymore that Gravenberch can come to us, or that can leave the club. I think maybe because they're going in for Phillips. It's very strange, and if the German crowd, they do tend to pull a lot of players away from English teams, but normally they're either German players based in English teams, or Dutch players based in English teams, or Middle European. You don't see many English players going that way. What was that guy's name that was playing for Man City and United? Curly hair guy. He was at Bayern Munich first and then came over, and he had Dortmund as well or something. Hargreaves, yeah. So you don't see too many English players going that way, But anyway, let's move on and get more questions off the lads. Mark Forrest says, Connor's still not showing he's here. That bad.
You need to be in.
Right, so Via says, I'm not a fan of us buying Gravenberch. A proper solid and most importantly, younger number 6 is required, and Grav isn't the number 6. But even relating to that earlier, is he can play the role if and I think Klopp would like to convert him that way. I don't think you're bringing in Gravenberch and he's going to back up Szoboszlai. I can't see it. I think he'll rotate, but how many games is Szoboszlai going to drop out of? To give Gravenberch time. How many games? Will Trent back down and If Trent is playing, he's going to want to play in midfield. If not, you're going to have Gomez come in there and then maybe play Gravenberch, and then you're losing Trent. You're looking at that side because that's where he tends to drift. He tends to win the ball centrally and move out right. So I don't know. I think Klopp is seeing him maybe as a converted CDM. Right. Connor, you going to take this one off, Weeks? My only issue with Endo is a bit lightweight. I think he will get bullied at times. This league takes no prisoners. How well do you think Endo is going to do if he does? Let's say we're stuck with him for the season. Does he contribute? Do you think he'll get anywhere near the top level of interceptions, tackles, clearances compared to like of Rodri or any of these guys? Do you think he'll be the guy that we depend on?
He should have cost 115 million. That's what he should have cost. No, I think that look, he'll do the job. I think, look, judging from Bournemouth game, he's thrown in the deep end, 10 men, and did an excellent job for the situation. I think that's what, again, was needed. Like, you look at James Milner, like anything around the team that was depending on someone, James Milner would do. And I think that's going to be the same for Endo as well. It's not going to be, again, he's not going to have probably the flashiest of stats. And when you look at the game, you might go, again, was he, you might think of his performance, but I think like the hard, like Jurgen said, like you're missing that element in midfield where you need someone to go in there and just completely like draw out the game and just take everything out of it. And that's what he did at times against Bournemouth as well. Yeah, I think when you look at the interceptions he made, if he did make them again, I think they were in behind as well. I think he'd be fine though.
Yeah.
But as being the main six, again, I don't think he's that. I think he's very much rotation option. If you need options there for right back, left back, centre mid, again, I think he's that guy. But if we're talking about, again, away to Newcastle next week, does he start for me? No. But again, Klopp might see it otherwise.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, we're getting to this point anyway, lads. I know there's a bit of a post-match the other day, but we got to dwell on the referees. From, what's going on with the referees in the last couple of weeks? Like the first 2 games of the season, like 2 weekends of the season, there's been so many mistakes. So they said they're going to draw time waste and they're going to be more aggressive with cards for people asking for bookings and stuff like that. But Rick, what you do with the referees, man?
Replace them by AI robots. Like I said, I keep saying you should not be allowed to referee a Premier League game if you've never played the game. Because to give McAllister a red card after that tackle, I mean, what did you see in that tackle for it to warrant a red card? And like everyone, all the pundits, social media, even Dermot Gallagher today on Ref Watch said it shouldn't have been a red card. I don't see it being overturned. They can't. They can't overturn it because they then got to admit for the opening 2 weeks of the season, the referees have been shocking because the Wolves and Man United game, the officials were dropped for this weekend's game just gone. They were given a week off. So then to now have to overturn this red card in another game, it's like you're saying, oh yeah, we're not good enough at doing our job. But so I don't see them overturning it. I think the best Liverpool can hope for is a 1-game ban. They might reduce it to try and save face a little bit, but yeah, we ain't getting that overturned.
I think even if they do that though, Rick, they're still on a mission of they got it wrong.
I think
even if it does get reduced.
I think there'll be an admission that they got it wrong, but it also was a bad tackle, but it weren't. But that's how they'll try and do it.
I know there's been worse looking tackles last season that were overturned from red to yellow in games. But
when Luke turns around and says it weren't a red card, because he always drops the I'm a referee line. Like my man said it weren't a red card, so I'm taking that as I know
gospel.
It might be Liverpool, it might be Liverpool bias, but yeah.
I think they, as they said it on that ref watch today, though, like the challenge met none of the red card criterias, like in any shape or form. And even when you look at it as well, and again, this is, it may be me making excuses a little bit for McAllister, but even when you look back at the footage, McAllister has to bend around the goalkeeper to put that foot in. If he's running straight at it as well, like that's another thing you need to take into consideration. But I agree with Rick. I think the FA just won't acknowledge the fact they've made a bad mistake in twice in 2 weeks. But I still even think if they do get the one game, I think that is still an admission that they got it wrong.
I'm going to have to. I'm going to go against you both.
What you think?
I'm going to be positive. No, I think it's not a red card. I'm going to be positive, and I think they'll overturn it.
I hope they do. Because again,
the whole of the planet is talking about it on TV. If they don't overturn it, they'll never be taken seriously again. This is the whole point. Yeah.
The latest we find out, I think, is
he needs after him showing up with his buddies at the United thing for the corporate box, sitting down for his meal and being invited there with other referees and past referees, and guys from the PGMOL. Them guys are taking a bit of stick at the moment as well. So they need to please everybody, especially if you're sitting in a United corporate box and you're having a meal and people are giving out about it to be invited there as PGMOL leaders, which you shouldn't be anywhere near any stadium at any point throughout the season. You go to the rivals that are probably going to cause the most stick about it, and you give them what the hell they want. Pretty much.
Do you know what don't help McAllister or in that game? The way the bloke reacted, just started rolling around like he was looking for a gold medal. Like, get up, lad, and get on with it. Like, there was barely any contact. Like,
yeah. I mean,
everyone was surprised. No one thought that the red card was coming out. No one.
Yeah, no, not even slightly did I think so. But no, look, so I blame for everything any of this going on the club. LeBron James, ever since he came in, place has been knackered. But anyway, we need somebody to blame when we're blaming FSG all the time and we're giving out the clap. Just blame these fellas pulling the strings behind. But anyway, go on to the next couple of comments here, lads. Who gave Jack permission to desert us? The Corey ticks the correct boxes for me. He ticks it for everybody, man. I think we all want the Corey in there. We really do. The lads are convinced because he's playing tonight that he mightn't sign in the next couple of weeks, but I still think there's another 2 weeks in this window. I think we'll get the Gravenberch deal over, and I think there'll be an opportunity to sign the Corey. And I think we'll pay upwards of 70 million for him. And I think it'll be probably about 45 down in the rest of Naddens at the start. I think Crystal Palace will accept that if they want to go and do something in the window to replace him. So we have to take that into account as well. What do Palace need to do to replace him? Are they already in the market for somebody to come in? If they are, that'll give us an indication of what's going on. Panav's in the house. Welcome. Everybody saying no to Panav. Okay. Don't have a go at me, but if Trent was out for a few weeks or months, I reckon we'd be better for it. Stick home as a right back and play 4-3-3 again. I don't disagree with you, Vaz. I'll be honest with you. I like Joe Gomez, man. I like his attitude. I think he's always been the dude that's been sitting in. For me, him and Van Dijk were our best partnership in the last number of years when he was on top form and before he got those injuries and broken legs. He was outstanding. He was tracking back. He was winning everything. Barely anybody dribbled past him. You have to remember in the season when Van Dijk signed with Gomez next to him, I think Gomez was dribbled past once, twice in the entire league. Van Dijk wasn't dribbled past at all. So that just
don't bring that stat up.
I know.
Fans on you.
I know.
Van Dijk went dribbled past. Oh man.
Yeah, I know. I get it. But he wasn't, for that entire season, and that's not. I mean, you'd have to be an absolute moron to think that he wasn't going to eventually get dribbled past. It's just if that's the height of their banter, complaining that a fella that didn't get dribbled past for a whole season got dribbled past a couple of times the next season, then that's not really banter, is it? It's just saying, oh yeah, a dude got dribbled past about 4 times in 3 seasons. Oh great, so it's not really banter. I wouldn't be worried about that kind of crap. But Gomez and him were the best partnership for me at that time. Matip came in, he's done a fine job. Kanate's come in and done a fine job. But if you've got a solid Joe Gomez on the right-hand side of Kanate, you see Kanate calm down. You see him less panicky on the ball out in that right hand side. Because when he tends to drift a bit more right, is when you see him kind of stumble on the ball a bit and get a bit panicky when he's there. You stick Joe Gomez on that side. I think we need to kind of go all for it. I think if you're going to do that formation, either drop Trent, or if you're playing the next game, put Endo in the 6, Szoboszlai maybe a bit left, and Trent on the right in that midfield, and just free him up and bang Joe Gomez in there. Yeah, Elliott misses out. If McAllister's missing for these games, then what else are you going to do? You're going to need some protection on that left-hand side as well. And I think it just makes more sense to have maybe somebody like a Szoboszlai working back and forth and him and Trent switching all the time would be good. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what to do with Trent, to be honest with you. I don't know, but we'll talk. I'm going to do a show. We'll do a show on him for Thursday, and we'll see. We'll look into everything to do with Trent and what we can do on that right-hand side, actually, to be honest with you. Anyway, how do Wigs? We need a solidity at St. James's Park, we do. Right, Spider can just about fill Jack's boots. Actually, my feet are bigger, aren't they? No, are they? Jack, what size feet are you?
I don't. He's probably a size 6. Probably kid-size shoes.
Jack is 5 Jaeger bombs deep now, and him and Tom were just walking up the boardwalk just like this. That was crack, lads. Steam.com. Brenda's chasing after him up the road saying, do you want a spaghetti bolognese, Jack? Anyway, if we get a DM in, I'd like us to try a more loaded midfield with less up front. We've lost so many midfield battles over the past year. If you control the midfield park, you most likely win all games. Yeah, well, that's a no-brainer, really, Wigs, isn't it? I mean, we had some of the best. We had the best midfield in Europe at one point. So, what do you think, lads? Connor, come to you first, man.
Well, to be fair, I have to head off in a moment. So for my final I do think that again Liverpool are best at 4-3-3. I think Szoboszlai for me, like I'm already excited to see what he does this season. It's only the second game of the season, but I think we can't really judge it still without knowing who we got there. In terms of signings, I think, we talked about Trent. I know we're going to do a show on Thursday about it. For me, Trent's not a midfielder, and he's not. Again, Trent at his best at right back in Liverpool's system. But in terms of again what we need at the present moment in time, I think again 4-3-3 is the best at the minute for us.
Okay, Ricky.
Yeah, I think 4-3-3. I wouldn't like to overload the midfield too much because it will make the front three ineffective, I think. You just got to get the right three in there. Szoboszlai's there. He looks unbelievable. McAllister looks a very good player. If we can get him in his position away from the 6. Can you imagine we did rock up with Decore, McAllister and Szoboszlai. You got Destroyer, ball player, forward thinker next to it. And then the front three will flourish. Diaz, Salah. Yeah, that'll be another day topic, that will. But we need to get Gakpo out of midfield. Poor bloke must think, what am I doing? Because he ain't looked effective in the 2 games he's played there for me. So yeah, we get the midfield sorted off. Like, listen, I still stick by it, and I said it last week, I'll say it again. Liverpool's 11 is second to none. It's what comes after that. So if we can just get a few more additions, it's the difference between challenging and fighting for top 4.
I thought it almost sounded like positivity there for a second, Rick.
No, listen, I've been banging the drum. Our 11's unbelievable. We had the best 11 in the Premier League in terms of squad, like in terms of all-round talent together as a team talent. But it's the shit that comes after that.
yeah. Oh, look, yeah, Les and I agree. We'll only wait and see. There's, what is it now? Is it 20? There's like, what is it, 10 days left? 11 days left in the window. Less than 2 weeks. That's another 2. Is it happening? Is that the break up for the international break? That it's closing? So will people be going away for the international break when that's happening? So we play the first 3 games and then it's the international break. So yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen then? I mean, if Liverpool will leave it late enough for these signings, man, you know, I don't like when we do that. I mean, Ox was brilliant that time that we bought him from that day. He was great for that season. Then he took that injury, and then you know the rest is history. So I kind of like to get players in so we get a feel of how they're going to play a bit earlier, like anybody else really. And I think Klopp is the same. But if people aren't available and the targets aren't coming and they're not coming, need at least 2 players for each position. I agree completely. I laugh my beep. Actually, no, I can do that properly. I laugh my off West Ham doing Chelsea. I enjoy that, and United's result tremendously. I think we all enjoy that, to be honest with you, Vaz. You know, I had a nice bottle of wine sitting here enjoying it, and I was happy out. Finished it off with a Guinness. Don't ask me why. Anyway, lads, it's coming up to the time we're going to finish up because, I mean, Connor's got to go, Ricky's got to go, and we'd appreciate anybody leaving a thumbs up on all the channels that you're watching it on tonight. Especially here on Anfield Road TV. But before we go, I'll take that off the screen because it's a bit rude. But if Liverpool get in that really wanted DM, do we challenge City? Connor.
I want to say yes so badly. In terms of getting high 90 points, no. In terms of safely securing Champions League football, yes.
Okay. Ricky?
We get Decore or a top 6 in. We challenge City for the league. They've got no De Bruyne for 4 months. We need to see how close we are to City before De Bruyne comes back, because we see Haaland previous times he's not as effective without De Bruyne. So get a 6 in, and we'll see where we are when De Bruyne's come back. If it's going to be a title challenge or a top 4 challenge.
I agree. But I do say that if we do get a proper number 6 in, or if Endo's number 6, or we get somebody else in, just to even back up the back line or the midfield, somebody similar to Endo, because I mean Endo can play a left centre back, he can play a left back, and he can play the DM. We get somebody else of his ilk in just to back him up with a rotation, or if Bajcetic is going to be that guy, and we'll see what it's like against Newcastle, because I don't think anybody's going to come in before then. Maybe Gravenberch if we do go for him. But if we do, yeah, I think so, because Arsenal are going to drop off. Newcastle are going to drop off at the Champions League once that starts. You know, United haven't improved at all. At all. You know, regardless of the last, they were in a false position last season. Kind of similar to the 2020 season. Is it the 2021 season, that one? When we finished 3rd. So we were 18 points behind them at one stage, came back to within 3-4 points of them. So they haven't improved at all. They're breaking terrible records still this season under Ten Hag. And I can't see it. Brighton are a team to watch. Aston Villa are a team to watch regardless of the result against Newcastle last week. You know, I think that they're ones that can easily start pushing their way in and challenge for the top 4. Chelsea could have been annoying, but there's too many individuals. And I don't see how Pochettino rescues it this season regardless of the money spent. They could get a run of 10 games and do well and then just completely drop off again. I don't know. But we'll see, lads. We're going to leave it there as it's coming up to the actual on the hour mark. Myself, Connor, and Rick like to thank Jack for allowing us to come on to his channel as well and host it tonight. And what am I saying? You should be thanking us, Jack. What are you talking about? Sunning yourself over there. Sunning yourself over there with Wicked Blue. You know, while Tom slathers you with Factor 50.
Taking my time out tonight to come on Jack's channel when I could be playing PlayStation or something like that. But you're welcome, Jack. You have another shot on me, mate, while you're out there.
We're the true talent of the show, not Jack.
Yeah, I agree, lads. I absolutely agree. Welcome to the Not Jack channel, lads. Right, so from here on in, when Jack is not here, it's the Not Jack channel. Not right, Jack? Anyway, lads, to anybody who's just popped in, it is time to go. We got so many more comments to get through, and hopefully if you come back, I think we're doing a show on Thursday night, which will be a preview of Newcastle, and we'll be talking about Trent's role, Salah's role, and we should know by then the outcome of what's happening with McAllister, if they've decided or not decided to do so. And you never know, we could have a player in by then. We don't know. It's only Monday, so you know, with what happened like 2 weeks ago, within 48 hours, we thought we were getting Caicedo and Lavia, and all of a sudden we're getting none of them, and he went to Chelsea. So anything can happen, lads, in 72 hours from now. So yeah, listen, lads, thanks for coming and watching us. Thanks for whatever channel you're watching on tonight. We appreciate you. Thanks for the guys from Jack's channel and Anfield Road TV for popping in and saying hello. Ricky and Connor. Ricky's on 8092 Reds, and Connor from the Cop Council, myself, Spider, LFC, and the Kitmen. Lads, thanks very much, and we'll see you again. Cheers.